Yo guys, Visionist Gen here, bringing you more Warzone content. In today's episode, we'll be bringing you the best areas to be landing in Rebirth Island, which will identify the best landing areas from the start of the game, but also as a regain spot for later in the game in case your initial start doesn't go quite as planned. So, on that note, let's get right into it. So first things first, if you're not already aware, I've made several best landing spot videos already on the channel for the Verdansk map since its return already, which are linked in the description below in case you guys are interested and play that big map, which made me think maybe it's worth making one for the Rebirth Island map, as I've been playing it a lot lately, and I know a lot of other players do it as well, and I'm sure there's loads of new or returning players who don't quite know where's best to land, or like myself, have noticed that certain areas are safer or more chaotic than they were in the past and have changed quite drastically. Now, notes to consider with landing spots are things like, are you going for a high kill game and ready for a chaotic start? Then the land in those hot spots, which I'll go over obviously in the video, rotation of the zone, the landing area, understanding the zone from the start of the game and where it's potentially going to end. These are also important factors to understand, although I appreciate Rebirth Island is a smaller map, so it's pretty obvious where roughly it's going to end each time. But also other things are safe spots, rotation areas, plane route, when to jump out of the plane and stuff like that. All of these factors will affect your start of the game and whether you're going to get lots of kills or have a safer or slower start to a game, depending on, of course, your playstyle. Now, as I mentioned, there's various factors which need to be considered. So when you're planning your landing spot, what I'll do is summarize all of the best landing areas in the map from my own experience and then break down the factors such as what to expect, is it a safe spot or a hot spot, why you should go there or why you shouldn't, how to rotate through the map and how to get more money and stuff like that, and safety reasons, and also just for high kill games, because for the most part that is kind of what I pursue. We like to go for as many high kill games as possible and of course winning games at the end of the day, because that is the best and most important thing when you're playing these maps. Now, when making this video, I did make a conscious effort to divide the areas in this list to provide, like I said, safe spots, hot spots, money spots, etc., to cater to all different styles of player, as well as regain spots in case you're not after a certain spot on the map, or in case you weren't aware of the bigger picture and particularly which areas are hotspots or which areas are safe spots. So first up on the list is industry. This is a mixed landing area in my opinion. Sometimes a great landing spot for high kill games, but more so plane dependent. If your plane route is passing right over it from the start of the game, so the north side of the map, then you are likely to get a relatively hot start. However, this area is typically mixed, and what I mean by that is sometimes you can actually get a safe and quick loadout and start rotating and getting a guaranteed loadout fairly consistently if the plane is sort of mixed or across the map in the sort of east to west or west to east. But whenever I land here, we typically rotate into either bio, harbour or chemical, which are also mixed landing areas as well, which provides plenty of loot and have shops right next to all of them, making them great for an early loadout as well. But more so, another key factor is that this is low-key a good regain spot for later in the game in case your initial start doesn't go to plan and you need somewhere to fall back into and so on, because of the amount of loot. And as I said, sometimes it can be quiet in this area. Now, as for the second place on the list, this is the harbour. Again, as I said, this is a mixed landing spot. This can be a great landing spot for kills, plane dependent as I just said. However, I would say this is generally more of a manageable area with usually one team max that lands here. So you and your team, meaning once you win the team fight versus that one team that could land there, you are able to then get your loadout with a shop right next to you. And then in this general area, you actually have various different buildings in harbour, as well as the actual harbour building, which is the one next to the shop. You also have that orange building right next to the water. You have the radio room up those stairs, and then you have the big red 3-story building as well, which has the gondola station attached to it, which you can then use to rotate either into prison, rotate up to factories, clean up and third party these hot spots if you are quick, or rotate over to like the likes of chemical, a mixed landing area, and try and third party the likely team that has landed there. For the most part, in my own experience, teams that land there typically get a quick loadout, so if you're going to be quick about it, you can time it well. Otherwise, just play it safe and sensible and stay on the outskirts of harbour if you like to play the game at a slightly slower pace, because you can do that in this area for those sort of slower style players. Now, as for the third spot on the list, this is the prison. Now, this is typically a real hot spot for the most part, in my opinion, one of the hottest areas other than control in the entire map, somewhere with plenty of floors to loot within this massive building, and usually has a lot of players that are filled within. But due to the location itself, right in the center of the map, you are able to get a loadout at various different locations, and you are also surrounded by hotspots. But if you are a slower player who likes a little more of a stability and time at the start of your game, I wouldn't recommend landing on the roof of the prison, as from my own experience, this can be quite chaotic. But as I said, there are various levels to this building and separate areas, so this would work as well for you guys in case you aren't a high kill player. Now, the previous episode, I actually did go over the prison courtyard area, as for the most part, that has plenty of loot with different areas such as the showers, the tents, the actual catwalks, and the water tower, and so on. But for this episode, I'm more so going over the actual internal areas, and as it's such a large place, summarizing it as one just didn't feel right. And if you land prison, there's a very high chance you're going to have what feels like an endless fight throughout the entire game due to the location in the central area, and teams always choose to regain here as well, which is another factor and leads me on to the point that this is a great starting spot, of course, because it's hot and chaotic, and due to the size of it, you're going to get loads of kills. But also later in the game, it's probably the best regain spot in the entire map. Due to the size, you can either go down into the showers area, the cafeteria, the courtyard where the tents are and the catwalks, the roof, the cells in the middle, the upper floor where the infirmary is. There's so many different areas within this building. It's such a huge area that you can regain later in the game. Definitely, it was one of the best spots in my opinion. Now, as you can see, there is plenty of variety and space, but as I said, due to it being central on the map, you can literally rotate anywhere you want after you have your loadout, or if you like the rooftop and enjoy camping, playing with a sniper, so on, staying here and just pressuring teams from above all of the map is actually a good play as well. But obviously, you just have to be aware that there's various different ways up onto this roof, and of course, teams can dive up here, so just bear that in mind if you're going to stay on the roof. But it is a good spot as it's centrally located, and you can literally see every other area in the map. Now, as for the fourth spot, this is the little bunker, and not a named area by any means, but it's in between basically industry, control, and next to sort of that prison courtyard area. This is a safe spot for the most part in my own experience, and also a great regain spot for later in the game, which has plenty of chests in this area, and also has an ammo stash, which you can obviously refill on, and then you can have, there's a self-res and multiple different boxes, which you can then jump down to the little boathouse area, which is right to the right-hand side, to the northern side of this area, or you can go, as I said, across the zip wires over to control and third party those teams if you guys get some loot, or you can literally just go into the industry area to get in a bunch more loot, as again, it's a mixed area itself with industry, so there's not always a guarantee that there's going to be players there, so you can be lucky and get a safe regain spot. But for the most part, this is a good spot and a guaranteed area with a shop right next to it, especially if there's like a fire sale at zone 3 for whatever reason that you're in this position, that this would be a good spot to get you back into the game. Now, as for the fifth and final spot, this is another unnamed area, but it's basically what we call the tents, which is literally right next to the control center as well as the living quarters, two very chaotic areas, but it's somewhat, there's a breathable area in between, which is the tents, and is an underrated spot with plenty of loot, separate buildings to find money, and has a shop literally right in front of you, which is of course shared with the living quarters, or you can head over to the control center. Although both are risky shops due to their locations and the amount of sort of lack of cover and the amount of openness there is, you can still use these shops to get a quick loadout, but also have more breathing room at the start of your game, as this spot is definitely more of a low-key area, and a lot of teams don't typically land here, although they land next to the buildings you're going for. From my own experience, you can definitely regain here, and you can also start off here, and then, like I said, rotate into one of those two areas, those hotspots, or you can just third party the likes of Stronghold, which, as I mentioned in a previous video, I typically find from my own lobbies and my own experience that the lower skill players on the slower players go to the sort of southern side of the map in the Stronghold area, where there are obviously the key cards and where you can get the specialist bonus and stuff like that. But from my own experience, you can choose to go wherever you want in this tents area. But pretty much for the most part, from my own experience, this has been a great spot to land for a starting area if you're going for a high kill game, as well as a safe spot, due to the fact that you're going to guarantee get a load of loot because of the amount of tents and stuff like that, and the fact that not many people actually even come here for the starting sort of minute or so. You can definitely get guaranteed loot. It's just whether you can get to a shop without sort of getting picked off, because either of the two shops are quite risky. But also is a great regain spot, as I said, so much loot here, as well as being a safe spot because you don't typically have a team that's landing here straight from the start and straight from the get-go. But anyways, guys, in summary, depending on the playing route, what type of game you are after, or what loadout you are using, but also a more low-key factor that you should consider is who you're playing with and the squad size, whether you're playing solos or quads, but also the skill level of your friends. Whether you're up for the challenge and you want to beat your personal high kill games, then land at these hotspots that I've just gone through in this video. If not, focus on those safer spots and rotating early if you needed to set up in preparation for the end game. And if you're going for just wins to build on a win streak or whatever it may be, then land at these safer spots and regain spots for when you guys want to get back into the game. But anyways, guys, there you have it. That's the full video on the best landing areas part 3 on the map, as I've mentioned. If you guys have enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, as it massively helps me out. And if you have any tips or tricks for any of the newer players or preferred landing areas for yourselves, let me know down below in the comments and I'll get right back to you. I'm VisionistGen. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. But anyways, guys, there you have it. If you've enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it massively helps me out. And if you've got any tips or tricks about preferred landing areas yourself, or you want to help other newer players out, or you have any suggestions about these videos, then let me know down below in the comments, and I'll get right back to you. I'm VisionistGen. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.